Set number 76105, Hulkbuster Ultron Edition, is a new UCS-style direct-to-consumer product from LEGO, this one featuring the titular Hulkbuster armor from Age of Ultron. Now, the set's going to cost you $120, which will get you one exclusive minifigure as well as 1,363 pieces. Now, this is the first UCS-style set for Marvel that we've seen since the Helicarrier, so does this one hold up to the hype? Well, let's find out.
Alright everybody, stand down!
So right off the bat, I'd say that this set definitely hits the mark in terms of being a nice display piece. The set itself is obviously big, bulky, and very detailed, but the display that it comes on is also quite nice as well. It features two robotic arms which can move freely and individually. They're both on two ball joints, and they can carry some accessories such as the spare arm that the Hulkbuster comes with. You also get a nice little Veronica care package, as well as this little RC cart. Don't really remember that being in the movie, but it looks nice sitting on that little platform there, so it's a welcome addition. The sticker on the front panel display is technically transparent, though it's printed on a black backdrop, so you don't really have to worry about any fingerprints showing up. The same can't be said for the rest of the stickers, which feature on the Hulkbuster itself. There are going to be fingerprints galore with this one. However, thankfully there's not too many stickers to worry about. Some of these parts definitely could have been printed, though. Now moving on to the Hulkbuster himself, he's actually not that big, which is a little surprising given how big the box is that they packaged this guy in, so be sure to check your expectations when you're picking this one up. The figure itself is really well detailed, very nicely done, and there's a lot of great shaping done from the front to the back. In fact, I would say that you're going to be hard-pressed to find a single angle of this figure that isn't really well covered or filled with a lot of detailing like pistons and machinery going on underneath those armor platings. It really does give the sense that this is, you know, a mech, fully realized mech at that. In particular, I really like the shaping of the legs here. I think going down from the thighs into these calf segments and the knee pad especially, it's got some really nice creative shaping ideas going on there, and I think it definitely does convey the look that the Hulkbuster has, albeit a bit thinner than its on-screen counterpart. Now, with that said, despite the incredible shaping going on here and the really nice detail work here with these pistons in the front, I have to say that I'm a little disappointed because this set doesn't really have that great of an articulation in these legs. The set itself can move its legs from side to side, but really that's about all it can do. The legs can't go forward, they can't go back due to these double hinges here, and there is no knee articulation at all. There's actually an axle that connects these two segments together. So if you're hoping to get any action poses outside of just kind of standing there, you're going to be out of luck, which is pretty unfortunate. I would have loved to have been able to pose this thing fighting against maybe a Hulk mock, for instance. That would have been a great display piece, but unfortunately you're going to be limited to that one standing position. Now obviously you can kind of spread his legs out a little bit and make him look a bit more imposing, or you can just have him standing straight up, which I like a little less, but the options here are definitely limited, and I think that is a little unfortunate. Now, moving on to the bottom of the legs here, you can actually see that he is on a ball joint for the ankle articulation here. So you've got your pretty much 360 full-on range of motion there, but it doesn't really do you much when you can't really bend the knees. So you're really didn't even need that articulation there. You know, it's kind of a nice idea, but otherwise pretty unneeded. There are a lot of movable panels, like right here on the back, you can move this panel up to reveal these sort of thrusters, and you'll find little segments like that all over the legs. The knee pads can move ever so slightly. There's little pistons down on the feet that can move, and you also have these little segments here on the back of the feet, which can help for support. This figure is very well supported, and thankfully, due to the constraints that they went with the lack of articulation in the legs, he is very stable. It's not going to be really easy to push him over and make him fall down, which is good, though it is a bit of a trade-off. Interestingly enough, the figure actually does have some waist articulation. He can swivel all the way around full 360 degrees, which is cool, though it's sort of unneeded at this point because you're not going to be able to really get that many poses due to those leg compromises that we talked about earlier. But it's still nice to see regardless. And that's a very, very good 360 degrees. Unlike the legs, the arms actually have about the amount of range of motion that you would come to expect with a figure. The shoulders are on a ratcheting system here, and they can move all the way up, all the way back, and all around. The shoulder pads here do a good job of really getting out of the way so that you can have that full range of motion for the arms here. The elbows here are on a ball joint, so you can move them up and down, and you can't really move them left to right, but that's fine there. It's kind of what you would expect with a Lego figure at this point. The fingers can also move. He only has 4 fingers, but they are good enough for gripping and sort of giving you that open hand pose there. His left arm here can be swapped for one that looks just like his right one, or you can also have this sort of battering ram arm here, which is featured in the movie.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
It's a pretty simplistic function. It really just operates on a rubber band there, so it's not like you're going to be seeing much complexity here, but I think it does the job well enough. This isn't really a figure that you're going to be expected to play around with, so I mean, it's there, it's nice if you want it, but otherwise, kind of forgettable. Figure does feature a pretty cool light brick system here that's hidden very well in the torso of this mech here. On the back here, there's a little panel that you can press down on, and that'll activate the light itself on the figure right here in the front. The light is, light's orange, not blue, so bit of a color discrepancy there, but otherwise it's fine, it looks good, it works the way you would expect it to work, and I think it's nice to see some light bricks included here. One final little detail I want to touch upon before we start moving into a bit of the negatives I have for this set are these, there's quite a lot of glow-in-the-dark pieces here. So you'll find a lot of these glow-in-the-dark pieces, which creates a pretty cool image when you see this thing in the dark at night. So that is also a nice little feature there. Now let's talk about the scale of this thing, because obviously he's a massive figure and he's pretty big, but he's definitely not to scale with a minifigure. If you're looking for a Hulkbuster that's going to be a good counterpart to your Iron Man minifigure, this is not the one you want. This is a good display piece, a good representation of the movie figure itself, but it's not going to be one that you want with your to-scale collection, your diorama of all the other Avengers figures. This isn't the one to get for it. So I would recommend maybe moving on to a different set. Thankfully, there is another Hulkbuster that LEGO released in tandem with this one, so if you're looking for a cheaper option that goes with your minifigures, I would recommend that one. Now, despite that discrepancy in the scale with the minifigures, this mech is actually fairly small compared to some of the mechs we've had before. In fact, let's compare him to one of my favorite mechs from last year, Kai's Fire Mech here. And you can kind of already see the difference in scale here. The Hulkbuster is definitely smaller, and funnily enough, Kai's mech actually offers more articulation than the Hulkbuster himself here. The legs can move forward. Now, he doesn't have the knees, of course, but I think that's already a big enough difference to really kind of show you what this set is really lacking in comparison. Strangely enough, Kai's Fire Mech has a much smaller box than the Hulkbusters as well. I don't know, I just found that kind of funny. You have a set that's cheaper by about like 20 bucks, bigger in terms of scale, has more articulation, and a smaller box. It does kind of feel like maybe the Hulkbuster's packaging was a little misleading. With that said, I think he's a good representation of the Avengers counterpart, but there is some criticism towards this figure for being a little out of proportion with the movie counterpart. In particular, I think he's a little thin, the legs aren't quite as beefy as the movie version is, and the shoulder pads in particular are very, very not screen accurate. However, I think it's a decent compromise. They obviously went with this design so that the shoulder pads can easily get out of the way whenever you're moving those arms up and down, and I think that is well appreciated from me. I think the biggest problem with proportions is just the dome that they use for the head. It's just a teeny bit too large, and it makes everything else kind of feel out of proportion. I think if you were to reduce the size of that head, maybe even get a custom build in there, then everything else would look much more in line with how the movie looks. But with that said, it's not that big of a problem, and it does give you adequate room to fit the minifigure that the set comes with. Speaking of that minifigure, let's talk about that. The Iron Man figure that comes with this set is a exclusive to this set. You won't be able to find him in any of the other sets out there from Marvel. With that said, the design of the figure itself has been kind of done before. This one is a little different. There's a bit more detailing going on. There is more of that There's more of these little like metal tendrils kind of coming down on the chest piece to sort of show the interior of him kind of connecting to the Hulkbuster. Otherwise, it's not like the most memorable Iron Man suit here. He also does not come with a Tony Stark face printing. It's just a clear piece, which is a little disappointing. So for some closing thoughts, I think the set is really well done. It's very detailed, very cool, very screen accurate for the most part. I think it's going to make a perfect display piece for your room. If you're a nerd, if you like Marvel, if you like mechs like me, then I think this is a must buy. I definitely recommend it for you guys. Now, if you're a parent looking for a cool figure for your kid, I would honestly avoid this one. The box recommends ages 14 and up, and I don't think that's necessarily for the building complexity. I think it might be in terms of enjoyment as well, because this is not an action figure. The set really is just a statue with a few movement options there for a bit more posability, but otherwise he's just going to be one of those sets you have displayed on your shelf, in your display case, on your desk. This is not one to play with. So if you're looking for one of those, I would actually recommend picking up Kai's Fire Mech from last year if you can still find him. It's a comparable scale, comparable price, also red, even bigger actually, and he actually has more movement options as well as more minifigures, so that's a better value for you. With that said, be sure to click the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this one, and while you're at it, head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/the TTV channel, where you can donate to us directly, help support our channel, help us continue making videos just like this one. But until then, I'll see you guys next time. I'm Var. Peace. But wait, before you click off that video, if you guys are interested in seeing Avengers Infinity War in theaters April 27th, then we've got a deal for you. All you have to do is be subscribed to the channel and comment down below, and you'll be in the running to receive a $25 Fandango gift card. So, once again, all you gotta do, be subscribed to the channel, leave a comment down below, and after a week from now, I'll contact the winner and he will receive the code for this prize. So, good luck, have fun, and I'll see you guys next time. Let's go ahead and roll out that ending slate. Bye-bye.